Welcome investors. My name is Kevin Vincent. I'm part of the MarketsMojo product team and I'm quite excited to take you through all of our premium services and show you exactly how much value you can extract from it. Hopefully it's the maximum value you can get, right? But before we begin, I'd like to give you a disclaimer. Investment in securities is subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Past performance should not be taken as a guarantee for future returns. The securities quoted are for illustrations only and are not recommendations. Okay. So today we are going to do something that a lot of people in the industry do not do or don't do it properly, better yet. We are going to research a company, right? So when you come to the MarketsMojo platform, all you have to do is go to the search bar, look for a company you want to research. We'll look for Biocon today and search for the company. Now over here, I'll essentially tell you something about researching the company here. We evaluate companies only based on data. There is no emotional biases. It's pure data, only at the data. So now for the first parameter that we use to evaluate the company is the quality dot, right? The quality dot essentially refers to the long-term fundamental strength of the company. And when I mean long-term, it is basically 5 years. Now this dot itself is built on 3 other factors. So if you look at the factors here, we have a growth factor, the capital structure, and the management risk. Now when it comes to growth, we are looking at the long-term consistency of the company's growth. So we're looking at the sales growth, we're looking at the EBIT growth. And when it comes to capital structure, we're essentially looking at what is the level of debt in the company and what is its debt serviceability looking like, right? Now when it comes to management risk, we are ideally not really looking for who is behind the company. What we believe in is that if the company is being managed well, the numbers will reflect that. Meaning your ROE, your ROCE will essentially start reflecting all those numbers. Now this second parameter that we are looking at is the valuation factor, right? Now you might have noticed that we have already gone through 2 factors here, right? Or maybe you've noticed these 4 dots. Maybe a better way of saying that. Now we are on the second one, and obviously I'll tell you the next 3 one as well. Now valuation is maybe one of the most intuitive things that an investor can look at. If a valuation is expensive, it's bad. If the valuation is attractive, it's a good buy. But at MarketsMojo, we're not really looking at it from an individual perspective, right? We're looking at it from a holistic perspective. We've looked at quality, now we're at valuation. Now regarding valuation, we are not looking at discounting cash flows. We are primarily looking at, because there are a lot of assumptions there, one wrong assumption, or maybe a small change in the assumption is likely going to drastically change the value, the intrinsic value of the company, right? So in this case, essentially what we are looking at is we are looking at the relative valuation of the company. So we are looking at the price multiples, the earnings multiples, and essentially comparing it against its peers, right? But is that it? No. We're looking at the fundamentals of the company as well. So if the company is above, if the company's PE ratio is, let's say, above the industry average, right? Is it a buy company? No, it might not be, because we are looking at the fundamentals as well. So if a company is above its industry average, it might be possible that it's demanding, its fundamentals demand that premium, right? It might be a good company, right? However, and similarly, if the company has an average, is a PE average below its industry average, it could be possible that the company is not doing that well. The fundamentals don't really demand that premium and essentially is being discounted, right? Similarly, it's also being evaluated based on its own past. So valuation is against relatively to its peers, to its past, and to its industry. So that's what valuation is here, and we are essentially we take all these data points and we come and give you a meter, a valuation meter. It's very intuitive. We have very attractive, fair, and expensive, right? Now the third factor that we use to evaluate the company is the financial trend. Now this essentially is looking at the latest quarterly results and how it's been doing compared to its previous results as well, right? In the CFT, so I call it the current financial trend. So what we do here is basically look at the latest quarterly results. We analyze a lot of important key data points and we boil it down to a score, which in this case is 19. the financial trend for Biocon is 19, right? So maybe giving an example as to what we do here. So for example, let's say the Biocon has published its quarterly results. Looking at net sales, our system will look at net sales. It'll identify and perhaps learn as to what is the net sales, by how much has it grown on a QOQ and a YOY basis, how has it performed against its peers and its own past, right? So it's doing that for all of the data points, all of the key important data points, and essentially we boil it down to a score, right? So now once you go down, right, under the financial trends section, you will see all the key points that are working for the company and not working for the company. So PAT is quite good. It's grown by 223%. Quarterly, the net sales has also been highest at 3,953 crores. So you can essentially go on. You have a list of all these data points. All you have to do is just go through them and just learn what's happening, right? Now these are the three factors that we have learned and identified as to how the company is being evaluated. The fourth point is the technicals. Now just want to let you know, these are not intraday calls. We are looking primarily on, this looks at a long-term perspective. So if you look at this, we are essentially looking at the technical indicators, all 7 of them, on a weekly and a monthly basis. And basically, instead of thinking of it as if, the best way of looking at it is looking at it from a long-term perspective. Essentially, we are trying to tell you what is the long-term trend looking like. Is it about to be bullish, bearish, and so on. Now, these are the 4 points. The quality of the company, which represents which is similar to a gatekeeper, right? If the quality is not great, it's not looking good for the company. Valuation. Now, these two are the long-term drivers of the company. When it comes to a short-term perspective, financial trend, and the technical analysis, right? Now, these are the 4 points. Now, what do I do with these 4 points? Like, okay, sure, the dots are green. What's next? Main kya karu abhi, right? So this is basically where we have made it simple for you. All these 4 dots essentially come together and give you a score. In this case, Biocon has done quite well for itself, 81 out of 100, right? And we essentially boil down the score into a scale, and it's a strong buy. Right? Now, if you don't have much time, right, you can't research a company, you can just want to figure out why it's a good company. All of the points that I highlighted, the quality, the valuation, the technicals, the financial trend, all the important points are highlighted here. Right? Now, is this it? No. We also, other than that, you can just come to this platform, just click on the price section, and you can find the daily commentary that is happening. Now, currently it's 5, so markets are closed. But if the markets were open, these will essentially be updating, and you'll keep finding new information about the company, important information. On the right, you have what's happening in the market. Right? Markets have closed down with a change of 33.15 points. It's doing okay, but it's still, Nifty is still close to 52-week high. So it's just, you'll get a snapshot of exactly what is happening in the market as well, right? Now, as you go down the page, you'll see on the left hand side, right here, this card will essentially will be the summary card. Well, on the right, if you want to jump into more data, you want to understand exactly what is happening, all you have to do is scroll to the right, and essentially you'll dive into more and more data. You have quartiles, which is maybe one of the most interesting tools that we have data points that we have essentially come up with, right? We want to, this essentially, you know what, better yet, you go through it. I don't want to give you everything, right? You also take some effort. Maybe this is something quite interesting. You figure out essentially if the company is a consistent performer within its peers, industry, and market cap, right? So the next section is the news section. Now this is something quite interesting, right? Basically, if the company is having a corporate action, all the information is right here. You just need to click full details. You see what are the board meetings looking like, when are the next results coming, if it has any dividends coming in, were there any splits? No, it has not announced any splits in the last few years. Bonus rights, and at what ratio it's going to happen, and so on. So all the data is right here if you are interested. And you don't need to go outside the platform. All the news regarding the company is right here. All you have to do is just scroll to the right, and you'll find all the important pieces of information regarding Biocon in this case. Right. Now, the next section is the financials. Financials, if you are, again, as I mentioned, on the left there is a summary card and there's a commentary card right here which highlights all the top points. How's the net sales doing? What is the net profits looking like? What is the operating profit margins looking like? And so on. And then if you want to really look into it, for example, quarterly net sales, oh, it's gone up. QOQ growth is up 14.19%, but YOY not so good. It's actually fallen down. So similarly, you can essentially do this for the half-yearly results, 9-monthly results, annual results. Then you have your balance sheet, P&L, cash flows, and now maybe one of the most interesting things that I like to read about a company when I'm looking into it is the shareholding pattern. This card right here will essentially tell you exactly who owns the company, right? It's a pie chart. Now looking at Biocon, 60% is held by promoters, 8.57 is held by mutual funds, insurance companies hold 5%, FIIs hold 5.6%, and non-institutions hold 20%. Now, obviously shareholding is something that changes every day, right? So what you could do is, if you want to see what's happening, just click on full details. You have the historical shareholding pattern, right? If you want to know more about who are the top public shareholders, in this case, Biocon does not have any guys who hold more than 5%. But there are people who hold above 1%. So we have these SBI Contra Fund holds 1% and so on. And there is one individual as well, Arun Suresh, right? And when it comes to promoters, we also show you who are the promoters, how many shares do they own, what percentage of the ownership do they have, right? And so on. And something that might not be very important, but some people will consider it as very important thing. What is the company all about, right? So we have looked at numbers, but if you want to learn more about the company, you can just simply go to the company CV section and just know more about the company. What is the company about, and so on and so forth, right? Now, we have spoken about the quality dot, the financial trend, the valuation, and the technical dot, right? Now, once you look at all these dots, maybe you looking at it in isolation might not be a bright idea, right? So that is why exactly we have a compare with peers cards. So you can compare your quality with your peers, the valuation, and the returns, and the shareholding as well. Right? Now, this might feel like an overload of information. I'm sorry. But if you want to get things right, if you want to really jump into the data, if you want to if you are one of those guys, I'm one of those guys who essentially wants to know more and more and more, and essentially gets lost in the data. And finally, this is something you can do, right? Obviously, you won't get lost. That's just me. But if you don't have the time and you essentially need to know what's exactly happening with the company in just one shot, we have a verdict report. Now, all you have to do is click on the download button, and and essentially, let's wait for it. But essentially, it will highlight all the important key points. So the report has been downloaded. Just one moment. Now, now these reports are unique in nature. Is that what do I mean by unique? The rationale for why it's a strong buy, or for, so let's say for some other company, it's some other call, right? All of the points are unique. They are not standardized at all. It will essentially highlight the top things that are working for the company and the top things that are not working for the company. Now, this is a summary page. You'll find your score here. You'll find your return summary here. And now if you go down, you'll see this is basically one of the strong key points here. Now, the company is able to service its debt. It has a healthy EBIT or to interest ratio of 12.95. You'll get more details here. Then as you keep going down, you'll have the healthy long-term growth as net sales has risen, right? But the report goes on and on. Essentially, the idea is that if you want to read more, it's just like our stocks page. If you want to read more, if you want to dwell into the company's important highlights, all you have to do is just go down. And then eventually you will find, there we go. Eventually you'll find that it is part of the Mojo stocks. Now, and essentially represents the top 1% of the company across the market. Now, coming back to the market. So, this might be, I know this is something a lot of people might not be anticipating. It's a lot of data, and although it is concise, some people might not find this attractive, right? You don't, मेरे को नहीं research करना है, अरे बहुत हो गया. I don't have the time, I have a job, I can't do this. So for those people, we have something referred to as a Mojo stocks, and we have the top. There we go. Go to stocks and click on the top Mojo stocks. Now this represents the top 1% of the companies listed across the market, right? So unless, so you don't want to take an effort of researching a company, just fine with the top 1%, essentially we'll go with this, right? So these are our top 10 stocks that are currently in this Mojo stocks. We have Bank of Maharashtra, Mahanagar Gas, so on, so on, and Biocon is right here, right? Now if you look at it, it's been out in the it's been published 26 days ago. It's generated a return of 88.37%. Market's not done that great, and the sector was also not done that great. So this company is doing quite well for itself, right? Now these stocks can also be viewed from market cap perspective. So you have large cap, you'll have all these stocks right here. Then we have mid caps, then we have small caps, and then so on. Now, to give you full transparency, full disclosure, we also give you a full list. Now these are companies that have been in the list and also that are currently in the list. So the companies that have been removed in the list, I think it's white in color, so all of these companies are not in the list anymore, but once they exited, they had generated a return of so and so, and then these are the companies that are in the list at the moment, right? Now, am I highlighting the positive returns? No, I'll show you the negative returns as well. Keep going down, we have a lot of companies that have come and gone through the list, and eventually we'll get to the negative parts as well. So it's full disclosure that we are not really, giving you the positives and hiding the negatives. You can find all of it in the full lists page, right? So other than the 1%, let's say we have 3 more strategies in place, right? If you want to take a bit more risk, right? We'll go to the hidden turnaround section. Right. Now first, the hidden turnarounds are essentially companies that are on the verge of turning around. They are essentially in a sector, or they essentially have just published very good quarterly results, or they are in a sector that is not doing well but it's about to turn around and has the potential to do so. So basically, according to this strategy, we have 48 companies. Right. Again, same funda, the same thing as Mojo stocks. Essentially, we have the current list of all the companies that are in the Mojo in the hidden turnaround strategies. You can look at them from a large cap, market cap perspective. We have small caps, we have micro caps, and we have a full list of companies. Also, you can just go through all of them. We have a great approach as well if you want to look at them from a different perspective. And then you have DCM Sriram was there at one point. And so on. So now these are all the companies, these are all their past, see more, and you'll see all the prior calls that we had, all the prior companies that had entered the strategy. That was another strategy. So this, by the way, keeping in mind, these are companies that are risky. Risky meaning these have not consistently done quite well. They're about to turn around. So they have just done well now, and we hope that they continue to do so. So these are those kind of companies. Now, another strategy that we are excited to present is momentum now stocks. Now, basically, these are stocks which essentially these consist of stocks that are fundamentally and technically have the momentum going for themselves, right? So, same funda. We have companies that are we have a list of companies that are in the current list. We have a segregation of these companies based on market cap. We have mid cap, small cap, micro cap, and a full list. Keep in mind, please don't look at these companies and these are part of the list. They have generated returns. Please don't blindly go and invest in them. So pure primarily just for illustration purposes only. And the third strategy that we have, reliable performers. Now, these are companies that have essentially been steadily growing, right? These are companies that have been slowly going and proving themselves, right? So these are reliable performers. Then again, these companies, we have the same funda. We have we have a list of companies that are in the current list and can be bifurcated based on your market caps, your small cap, micro cap, and we have a full list as well. Full list where you'll see all the companies that have been in the list in and out, right? Now, let's say now these are our 4 strategies. Let's say you are smart enough, or you think that maybe perhaps MarketsMojo ne dikha diya ye 4 strategies, but I have another idea that might be, or another strategy that might be much better, right? A classic example that I remember basically when we had launched the platform, a lot of people used to ask, यार मुझे बताओ companies जिनके dots, the quality, the financial, ये dots के जो जो 4 dots हैं उनके सब green companies दिखा दो, right? That is my strategy. That is what I am going with. But I want it for a specific industry, right? So what we came up with was a screener feature. Essentially, these are our 4 strategies. Why don't you come up with your own, right? So you can access that by going to the stock section, and there we go, screener. Okay. So based on public demand we got back then, basically we've applied the filter, we kept it as default. We kept the quality as excellent. It's all green. The valuation is also all green. It's attractive. Financial trend is positive, very positive, outstanding. Technical is okay. Technical is not there. Let's just put bullish in there. And the list has come down to 11 already, right? And then accordingly, let's say I want to look at mid caps only. The list is coming down and down and down, right? And in this case, let's say I want to select an industry. Let's say pharma. Right. I have kept a few filters in place, screens better yet, the screener, and essentially I've come down to one stop, right? We have looked at quality, valuation, financial trend, technicals, market cap, industry, and essentially come down to just one company. Too simple for you? I would kind of agree. That's why we brought Mojo Expert Screener, right? Basically, in this case, you essentially have the ability, rather flexibility, to select and create your select your own filters, right? So, for example, quality. Let's take it a step further and let's go a bit more into our filters, right? Applied filters. We have quality. Okay, let's for okay, it's around here. Okay. So for quality grade, let's just go with companies that are excellent. Or better yet, let's just go with good and excellent. Okay. Then we look at the financial trend of the company. Now obviously you can add more. Now I can just remove them as well. But for simplicity's sake, let's just go with what we have. Financial trend latest. As I mentioned, financial trend looks at the latest quarter, right? You can also look at the financial, which we get to. But what is the financial trend? The current financial trend of the latest quarter. Is it outstanding? Is it very positive? Let's just go with outstanding, and let's just go with let's just go with all green dots, right? Done that. We'll get to returns later. Okay. Financial trend in the previous quarter, right? So let's say I want to know about companies that are doing quite well, right? That are on a upward trend in terms of like there is a trend happening. They have been performing. They have been publishing very good quarterly results, right? I want to add another screen here, 2 quarters before the latest, right? So we're looking at 3 quarterly results, and you can add a few more points. Let's just keep it simple for now. 2 quarterly results. I want this to also be very positive, flat, outstanding. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let's just keep it flat. Okay. Okay. Now we have looked at the financial trends. We have looked at the quality. Let's add size. We can do it based on market cap, net sales, net profit. I'll do with market cap. Net sales also looks interesting. Let's just do that. Net sales 26,000. Let's go with very small margin right here, and let's run the analysis. Okay, obviously you can add more factors here. How much is the FII holdings, the returns of the company, the growth factors. As I said, like I mentioned, the quality dot, it's based on growth factors, capital structure, right? Management qualities, and so on. So basically you can add and within each factors you can also go deeper, right? So it's really up to you. The more deeper you want to go into the data, we allow you to do so. So in this case, let's just run the analysis. Let's see what are the 2 companies that we have. Okay, Aurobindo Pharma and Shriram Finance. So these are the companies that match our filters that we just made up, right? Obviously you can just go wild with this. This is something that will open your allows you to essentially execute the strategies that you might have in mind, right? And essentially what you could do is you don't need to you don't need to keep coming in and applying these filters. You can just simply go ahead and save it, right? You can save your filter and it'll always be there. And all you have to do is just look at the strategies, see how many companies are coming in and are matching your strategies. Now, this is a way you can essentially have, this is basically your fifth strategy. It's your strategy. You can do whatever you want with it, right? So that's basically, just to recap, you have learned how to research a company. You have if you're not bothered, मेरे को करना ही नहीं है, research करना नहीं है, मुझे time नहीं है. We also have the top 1% handpicked companies. Some risky companies are also out. So we also have a few risky strategies, companies that are just about to turn around, companies that have the momentum right now, and companies that have been, this is not really that risky, but companies that have been reliably performing well in the past. So and the fifth one is basically your own strategy. You can just go on the Mojo Expert Screener, Logic Screener for simplicity's sake, and just go and create your own strategies. So that's the screener right here. So Kevin, by the way, my name is Kevin, in case you forgot. In case you can't afford to essentially spend a lot of time here, right? You just want that one stock. That's it. मेरे को एक ही stock चाहिए. I just want to know what is the best performing stock rather than what is the stock I should be investing in, right? We came up with a solution for that as well, right? All you have to do is just go to the stocks page and go to the stock of the month. Now this is a company, there we go. Now these are our previous stock of the month. Just to give you a gist of what the stock of the months are, what we do here is basically what our chief investment officer does, by the way, is basically look at all the companies based on the score that we highlighted, right? Like Biocon had a score of 81. It'll basically take all the companies that are out there which have a really good score and will essentially evaluate all these companies with his analysts and we'll see which one has the highest potential for growth, right? Once he picks that company, we publish it on the 10th of each month. So we are 4 days away for the next stock of the month. So if you want it, just be ready and be alert for the stock of the month for May. But yeah, once we select the stock of the month, he'll publish it on the 10th, and there is a Q&A section with him where basically investors, our premium users, get the chance to have a back and forth and have a very interactive session with the CIO, right? Just to learn more about what the company is about, why this company is here. So in this case, let's just look at Westcorp. It is the latest company, the latest stock of the month. So, okay, Westcorp. Essentially, you'll find all the summary about the company, why we have chosen it. The basic stuff is on the right, which basically will be standardized. But on the left side, you'll see all the summary of the data, the performance of the companies, the key ratios you should be looking at. And after that, it's the investment argument, essentially why we are doing this, why we picked this stock. In this case, Westcorp, I mean, it's a delightful document to read, and you essentially get the chance to understand the views, or rather the investment rationales that we go through, we select for this stock of the month, right? So now we have spoken about, so now that, before I continue, we also highlight what companies are open and its performance since we pointed out. We are not shy to show negative returns. We are quite transparent. We are not going to be picking companies that are doing very well and just highlight those, right? So now we have looked at companies, we have looked at researching a company, a few strategies, then we have looked at now the stock of the month, right? Is this it? No. If your strategy basically depends on just looking at a few companies, let's say I create my own strategy and it on the screener feature and essentially it comes up to 3 companies. Should I just put lump sum investments and just forget about it? See, this is basically where a lot of investors go wrong, right? You put money in companies and then uske baad you just forget about them, do your 9-to-5 job, and eventually you realize, oh, some of them didn't work out. Why? Now companies, although might be good today, right? The evaluating factors will tend to change. They are not going to be good forever, right? My point that I'm coming to is that if you buy a company, you eventually will have to sell it, right? And you need to know how much of it should you own, right? Now this is basically where the cycle ends. You buy a company, that should not be a full stop. You should buy a company, you should also evaluate how much you should own, and you should also know when to sell it. Right? Now, this is basically where our model portfolio comes into picture. To access that platform, you need to go to the portfolio section and click on the model portfolio. Right, so I already have 3 portfolios, so let's just create a new one. Okay? All you have to just click on create portfolio and it should load. Okay, there we go. Right? So we'll ask you 2 questions, and it's very simple. You don't need, we are not giving you a questionnaire. It's quite simple. How much money you want to invest, right? Let's say in this case, I want to invest 5 lakhs, right? That's 5 lakhs, correct. Step 2, what is your risk profile? Now you want to understand. So just to give you an idea as to it's always ideal to essentially classify yourself as an investor. If you are a more conservative investor, if you can't handle the volatility, you're very likely a conservative investor. If you love the volatility and you want to get more returns, and you can afford to do it because you're quite young, essentially there is a lot of time for retirement. Essentially, you can go for the aggressive one. But essentially, it's quite unique. I mean, I'm just stating what is essentially standard. Right? I personally am quite an aggressive. I'm young and I have a long time for my retirement. I'll go with aggressive. Okay. Click on I have read and understood the disclaimers. Generate my model portfolio. So now, with the 5 lakhs and the information that we learned about you, it's essentially allocating your 5 lakhs across across 9 stocks, across 8 sectors, assessing which one will have the highest allocation to which sector. Now 100% will have excellent or good quality. Remember the dot that I was referring to. Will have positive or better financial trend, mildly bullish to better, has mildly bullish or better technical trends. Now these are essentially the 5 lakhs that you're going to be investing in. I mean, I would be investing. This is my portfolio. This is my risk profile. Obviously, it doesn't matter. This will be very unique to you as well. I mean, the amount changes, the profile changes. This will be a completely different portfolio. So don't just go with what I'm doing. This is primarily for me, right? So you'll see that there are a list of, how much is it? 9 companies, right? And these are the companies that I will invest my 5 lakhs in. You'll see how much quantity exists, the value, the allocation. Click on continue. I'll see the list of the trade list, basically something that you can take and give it to your dealer or essentially execute it yourself. You'll see how much quantity there is, the price at which you will ideally want to buy it at. Obviously, this is not a hard and fast rule. You can obviously differ a bit, and so on. So basically, once you've done with the portfolio, just click on OK, and this is your portfolio right here. Does it end here? No. This is where basically a lot of value starts to come in. We are not going to be the guys who are basically going to give you a list of companies to invest in and then kuch nahi ho gaya. No, that's not like that. We're essentially going to keep monitoring all the markets and essentially keep giving you the best, the companies that match your profile and the amount of money that you have, and accordingly give you companies. Right? So this is my model portfolio. Please don't replicate it. And this is for the aggressive guys. So now my portfolio already has a score of excellent. It has an 84 score and it's an aggressive. Now, what if I want to add more cash into this portfolio? All you have to do is click on add investments. Let's say I want to add another 1 lakh. Right? I confirm this and let it load. It's basically again doing the same thing that we did in the past. It's essentially trying to understand, okay, now Kevin has added 1 more lakh. Where can it go? Right? There we have it. Actually, it's very likely that all of the companies are already in the list because we have done it very recently. All it's doing is just add with the 1 lakh, just add more of the existing holdings. Obviously, I'm not sure if there are any new ones here, but you get the idea. Essentially, it will give you a new trade sheet, better yet, for the 1 lakh in rupees that you've essentially added. Save and continue. Yes, I want to continue. So I added it. So you can save the deal sheet, go back to the model portfolio. Right. Now, You can also, by the way, look at the day total gains. You can just come back and evaluate it. We are also going to compare it against the benchmark and the portfolio returns and so on, right? So now, just to recap, right? We have looked at how to research a company. We have looked at 4 strategies that we have in place, right? Depending on what kind of strategies that you prefer. Then we have a method of creating your own strategies, right? A screener, right? And then a stock of the month. In case you can't be bothered with strategies, I don't have time to research, stock of the month is that one stock that you want for the month, right? And finally, to conclude this entire cycle, right? We don't want just one stock, right? The model portfolio is the way to. Model portfolio, I personally prefer it because it's not a one-time thing, right? It will keep monitoring, it will keep happening. You'll basically keep getting updates as to what has to be done and so on. So, just to conclude, I hope you got a lot of value from this. Keep in mind that this is not the complete offering that MarketsMojo. We just are running out of time. We have trading 80. We have technical calls. We call it trading 80. And we have the portfolio analyzer, the portfolio optimizer in case you have a new portfolio, because oftentimes a lot of people will not be coming in fresh with cash. You want to upgrade, or better yet, you want to know what's wrong with your portfolio and how you can make it better, right? You have a lot more features. Perhaps we are going to have another session like this, and in case I really genuinely hope that you extracted as much value as from this, and yeah, I wish you the best.